Using Chrome. I'm using Chrome.
Oh, let me write.
$79. Put that over my face.
There we go.
All you, dude. All you.
Alrighty. So we shall go live in 5, 4, 3, 2. On this episode of the AIE Podcast.
Gusty's new guild challenge is too cute.
Pretty cute. SOTOR, Return of the Hype, or The Hype Strikes Back, or The Hype Menace. Take your pick.
Yes, so trials are planned and bosses killed.
And Zoot's running a mount farm in Final Fantasy XIV.
Hey, Jedi, it's here to talk to us about Guild Wars 2. What? Guild Wars 2? It's been like 7 years.
It has.
84 years. All that and more coming up right now.
Bringing you the latest news from the AIE gaming community from planet Earth and beyond. This is the AIE Podcast.
Welcome to episode 379 of the podcast celebrating you, the LAFTS gaming community. The Die Has Been Podcast. This is Mewcow. And to my virtual left is Tetsami.
Final Fantasy XIV Teamcraft is my only website.
No, you're on Wordle too.
Oh yeah, and Wordle. Sorry, yes.
And that voice to his right is Makala.
Hey guys, there's some boozy bread pudding and apple tarts in the Guild Kitchen.
And this week we're joined by special guest Jedi, who is here to talk to us about AIE and Guild Wars 2, and we welcome.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, good to have you here.
Yay.
It's been a while.
A couple of years.
7 to be specific.
Why?
Yeah.
I was like, were any of us even podcast hosts then?
Oh, I
Believe
think
it or
you
not,
were.
yes.
I think you were.
I think I was.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. You had just started, probably.
I think so.
Yes. Well, since we haven't heard from you the longest, Jedi, why don't we start with you and see what you've been up to besides your little army behind you?
I mean, that's
watching.
That is actually, yeah, that's kind of what I'm up to. So, I've been getting back into painting the Warhammer dude. So I've been working on my Necrons, and they're pink and sandy. And I just got loads of dudes queued up. And then, other great hobby stuff. I have a Gunpla behind me, and I'm gonna build him someday.
Nice.
But he's just here in sprue form, just hanging out. So, other than that, life's been good. Playing a lot of games. Playing a lot of. I've been playing ESO. Not so much on the game I'm here to talk about, but there's a reason for that.
Yes.
But and then I got this. I have a kid downstairs playing on my Switch, and I was really upset that I couldn't play this.
Ah, yes, the new hotness
that I just picked up today, and I was like, this is going to be the one that it sticks to me. It looks really good. None of the other ones have stuck, but this one looks like it's going to get me.
Is that Pokemon Arceus or Arceus?
Arceus.
Your guess is good as mine. Arceus.
I guess I can probably open the study door and scream at the kid in the next room, saying, "What's the actual? How do you pronounce the game you've been playing all weekend that we haven't seen you except for food?"
Yes. It's the new hotness. Like, it is definitely the flavor of the moment because it's all over Twitch. And I guess for good reason. It's an open world Pokemon game, which is kind of crazy. And some of the stuff, I mean, it's I've also been calling it Metal Gear Pokemon Solid.
Oh.
Because apparently it's for the first time since it's open world, your character's running around in world and can interact with the world, and the world can interact back. And sometimes you don't like that. So as you're trying to catch Pokemon, you might be sneaking behind trees and sneaking in the grass and trying to, keep an alpha from spotting you and trying to stomp on your head because they can do that.
But you can also run around and heal your team up while you're throwing Pokeballs at things. So that's really useful.
What got me to like want to go buy it like right now and today, just go out and buy it. I watched a video where there was like the dude got in between the Pokemon while they were fighting, and the Pokemon were just running over the player. He's getting knocked down and stuff, and I was like, oh, I can do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, pretty funny.
It's on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been pretty interesting to watch. It's definitely has some watchability to it too. So, yeah, but I'm curious if they have plans for any kind of co-op or multiplayer with that, like they have with some of the other games, because that would be some interesting times running around in a Pokemon open world together. So, but yeah, sounds like you have plenty to do over there. So why don't we move over to Makala and see what she's been doing?
Dying. Oh, sorry. I wish I was kidding. All right, so
you got Fennec Shand is what you got.
Oh my god. Well, no, I didn't have to have any replacement parts. Okay, so my 2 weeks of dying and in game started with in Call of Cthulhu 2 sessions ago. Now, we're almost to the end of this section we're doing. We're in Persia. We're hunting down this bowl. Evidently, it can let you see things that can't be seen. We, of course, are running against time it's Call of Cthulhu, and it takes place in 39, so Nazis. So we're doing great. We've gotten part of what we need for it. We're heading back to the archaeological site. And we get attacked. And my character now, granted, I am almost always the healer, which is the weirdest thing in the world. Because I hate playing.
Never played healers for
After
years.
25 years of refusing to play a healer, I am almost solidly always the healer. Mm-hmm. So, one shot takes out my doctor. She's at 2 of 10 hit points. She's bleeding out. Well, not bleeding out because that would be 0 of 10. But I'm out of the battle. They're able to get me to enough so I can patch myself up. So it was the first time I almost died. Then the preceding Friday night, on Friday nights, I game with my buddy Mike, who is also my DM for our main Call of Cthulhu campaign and our Star Wars campaign. And Makala had an entire beer. Now, here's the deal. My idea of beer is 6 ounces. I had a pint. Evidently, It comes in pints. And it was because I like a strong beer. It was a delicious imperial stout. High alcohol content because I usually drink small beers. Dinner was running late because somebody put dinner in the oven, but we have a double oven, and it was in the wrong oven. So I had the beer before dinner, thinking dinner was almost ready. It was not. Tet, 45 minutes later, Tet brought dinner up to me, but I've been paying for a while, and I'd been drinking. So I got a little mouthy with my friend's character, and that friend is my normal DM.
Yeah, not well planned out.
So in that game, we were in battle. Some friends lost eyes because we have a pretty serious critical critical things happen. You have scars. You lose body parts, stuff like that.
The eyes don't have it.
The eyes did not have it. So we're now on a mission because they've been told, all right, well, you have a few days off, and then we're going to need to put you on, desk duty. And this is it's very military based, this particular campaign. And so then their commanding officer's like, yeah, I have a few days off. Whatever you want to do is up to you. So we're like, oh, you're telling us to go somewhere and get their eyes healed. Got it. So, gonna pause on that one. The funny thing was I was mouthy with my DM. The following day is Star Wars. We had achieved our primary mission on this planet. We're waiting for orders. We're in space. Unfortunately, the Imperials were able to take over. we get a message, you need to go back down there. Their prince is alive. He's on our side. So we do this rescue mission. It's going really, really great. Except for the imps have these new hunter droids.
K2SOs?
No, these make K2S. No, we fought K2SOs. These are way worse.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Somewhere between the K2SO and the Mandalorian droid that Luke took out.
More like the Mandalorian droid. Yeah. Anyway, so 2 of them. And our heavies weren't hitting. Our heavies were not hitting. Who was hitting? The pilot. The pilot, by the way, who was also...
The medic.
The medic. Because I'm now always the medic. I was hitting too well, and I became the primary target. Oops. And that's how I ended up in my own medical bay at -9 hit points.
Ooh.
With 4 critical wounds. Now, a critical wound is like when you accidentally hit yourself with your own lightsaber, and you burn your leg so badly that you can't stand up. That's what a critical wound is. I had 4 of them. Right. And then, I had 2 of them. And then after the game, the DM realized at 0, you get 1 more critical wound. And for every -5 points, you get another one.
Oof. So
we'll roll for those the next game. And I'm like, oh my God, death is on that chart. Crap.
Yep.
All right. So I'm just kind of forwarding. So skip forward to Wednesday. Thursday. No, we did a Call of Cthulhu one-shot in my normal Travelers group. And it was a one-shot, as in we all died. Just fine. Yeah, this particular one-shot is rough. Evidently, you're not supposed to engage the monster. You're supposed to Scooby-Doo that stuff. Who knew? Friday comes around. We're now trying to get our 2 warriors' eyes healed. We're on our way to this town, Tilverton. We get attacked by a Periton, which is a terrible flying creature. There were 3 of them that really like elf flesh. And we have 2.5 half elves because one's a quarter elf. Well, I am a Cleric of Helm. My whole thing is protection. So I'm making sure I'm up in front. I get the other elf, who's our war wizard, out of the way and proceed to have my heart taken. It was my week of dying. Like, literally, like, the whole entire group was like...
Kalima.
Yeah. The whole entire group was done. I'm getting IMs from, I don't know what to do right now. I'm like, okay, you're not just going to take somebody's heart and not make it repairable, you know?
Right, yeah.
It was, and so like the DM's like, all right, it's up to you. Do you want to keep playing this character? I'm like, yes, I want to keep playing this character. And I like tried not to. I was fine until I started getting reactions from my friends. So she now has a artifact that was created by an artificer in the town that we went to get the eyes restored, called the Heart of St. Jervis. Pretty cool. I got a con bonus. I get advantage on death saving throws.
Useful.
Cool.
Guess you die again.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, yeah, because there was no death saving throws last time. It was just dead. And then Saturday was Star Wars, and I did not die. We there was a space battle where my pilot could not participate in, which means it was a much more extended space battle. Mm-hmm. Because I can just get us, we're being pursued by 4 TIE interceptors. Well, I can triple our speed. I can make our silhouette smaller. I can get us out of there before they shoot us. It was, several thousand credits were spent on the repair of the ship and the New Republic spent a lot of money repairing me, which was 3 weeks in a back to tank. So that was my 2 weeks of dying and not dying, or almost dying. A lot of death. Sorry about that. That went a little long. I apologize.
No, you're fine.
Death was on the line.
Death was on the line.
You were flirting with death quite a bit.
No, I just died.
There was no flirting. It went straight to the dead part.
And the only character that would flirt was the character I was playing in the Call of Cthulhu one shot. He was a man beep. Literally, his stuff on his character, it kept saying, "She's cute though." She's cute though. I'm like, all right, that's who I'm playing. Got it.
Yeah.
Oh, certainly sounds very, very action-packed.
Deathy.
Yes, deathy, death-packed. So let's see what Tetsami's been up to.
So what I have been up to is really enjoying Book of Boba Fett / other show that completely took over Book of Boba Fett for one episode, which was awesome.
Spoilers.
Yeah, it was good. But I've been playing a lot of Final Fantasy XIV along with Wordle, because Wordle's once a day, and looked at somebody posted from the Reddit Data is Beautiful subreddit. They analyze the starting words that you use for Wordle, and apparently, much like my choice in any MMO is completely suboptimal. Like my starting word, which I thought was really good because it contains 4 vowels, like is the 2600th best starting word. Like, how is this possible?
Okay. Yet our friends who are also playing Wordle mentioned they started doing way better when you gave them their starting word.
Right?
So I wouldn't worry about that data analysis.
No. I'm just saying it's interesting that for some people, like, that word isn't good for them, and for other people, it's like I'm averaging 4 out of 6 on most words, so I'm happy with that. That's your Wordle moment for those of you that can't get away from seeing people post scores on insert social media here. To the point where they've started to create Wordle blockers, but that's another thing. So I got through Endwalker, the main story. Have not opened the raids yet. I still have 3 blue plus questions things to go open up for those. But I've switched over to the gathering and crafting jobs. And I did the fishing job. That was really interesting. The fishing quest line. Once you get to 90, I did the botanist / mining one, which, to be honest, I think the student professor romance thing is a little over.
Well, that one was kind of confusing, but then you realize that for them, students and teachers aren't necessarily like super young, super old.
No, I know, but the fact that it was an older-looking Ora and a cat girl, or not a cat girl, human. It just, anyway. And then I did the carpentry one. I think it's carpentry, leatherworking, and I forget what the other one they throw in there is. But that one was dealing with an Aether telescope, and that was really interesting. I enjoyed that one. And then I've got started that one. Yeah, I've got the last 2 to go. So I really like that the carpentry one because it was a good story. So it was one of those of, why is this character acting like most of Final Fantasy XIV, like this character's really being an ass. Why are they being an ass? And then you find out the backstory and you go, oh, okay, they're completely justified. Got it. So that's most of Final Fantasy storytelling.
This
I hate this character. I hate this character. I hate this character. Oh, I kind of like this. No, I want more of that character.
Detailed backstory. What is this? What's going on?
I know. So that's what I've been up to. But I think we have a lot of Guild Wars 2 stuff to dig into. So, honestly, those are the 2 things I've been up to. So.
All right. As for me, a lot of Final Fantasy XIV as well. Just because it's all encompassing now. It's weird. I was afraid I was going to get burnt out on it, but something is different this time around. This expansion.
Oh yeah.
It feels different. There's something I can't put my finger on it, but I've even gone back to see all those nice crafting and gathering quests in Charlian. I didn't do them in the Crystarium, so I've also been enjoying those.
Okay.
So because I had everything leveled to 80 without doing any of those. So what I did is I went
free
back.
Story.
Yeah, Pretty much, but the thing is they give tons of experience. Like even at 80 and plus, the Crystarium stuff still gives you. So it's like I'm going back doing all the Crystarium story, getting tons of experience, and then I'm able to do most of the Charlian stuff without having to do any extra leveling on them because I got the bonus from Crystarium. And then I've also not done a lot of the regular collectors, all of the scattered collectors all over the world. You've got your what's his name? It's one of the. It's not Tia in the first, but the one guy over in the queen bee, the honeybee. I don't know.
Yep.
The name's escaping. Yeah, queen bee and all that. But yeah, that's interesting story. Then also dealing with poor Chloe. Not Chloe. Is it Chloe or is Chloe her sister? One's Chloe, one's Zoe, Chloe,
Chloe's
Moe.
the one in Idleshire.
Well, they're both in Idleshire. So Chloe's the little one, the little Makode. Then there's Zoe, who is her older sister. She's running an orphanage.
Right. Oh, that's right.
And so she has a whole collectibles, and man, that poor kid's like, oh yay, I only have to eat 3-day-old pineapple porridge. Yeah,
yeah.
And it's like every time you help her out, it's like, hey, only 2-day-old porridge now, 1-day-old porridge now. It's like, woo.
Yeah.
It's like I could feed your entire orphanage with the stuff in my bag. Can't I just do that?
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Hand that over. But yeah, it's just funny the little backstories they give these characters, and you're like, oh, you're almost like a real person over there with all your thoughts and stuff. You're not a trope.
And dreams.
Yeah,
and your motivations.
You're not tropey. Yeah. It's like at first it seems, oh, tropey bad guy. Oh wait, no, he makes sense. Crap. So
that's impressive. They're able to do that.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, for just because he was such a bleep and Shadow Walker, Emmett Selk.
Mm-hmm.
Like you hate
one of the best bad guys ever.
Yes,
I love Emmett Selk.
Hate this character. Like you literally are just like don't understand him. You hate him, and by the end you're like, oh, so good.
Why are you my friend now? What happened?
Absolutely love him.
Yeah.
Yep. And then yeah, there's so much to that whole story. I love what they did to wrap it up. But yeah, lots of that stuff. I've started poking at some alts. Funny that. Poking at. I've actually been getting Mrs. Mew in here, and now that the queues are no longer insane, we're able to actually sit down and log into the game and play. Which is, I know, it's just a strange concept these days, but yeah, that's actually been nice. Just kind of poking through things. The Halloween event, Halloween in January, that's been fun.
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah,
they had to do that much like Disneyland getting their Halloween shipment.
Yeah,
in January for stuff that should have been there in September, October.
I think it may have been there in December, but yes, I definitely had new Halloween stuff that was not there in October.
Yeah,
in January.
Yep, same thing. Although I couldn't for the life of me figure out why they had to delay it until after the expansion, because I don't think there was anything in the event that's related to the expansion. So I don't know.
Maybe class-specific rewards? I don't know.
No, it's all cosmetic stuff. It was a clown outfit and a makeup piece, like clown makeup.
Right.
Like that's it. Like they're and the dungeon they use is an old dungeon. They just repurpose an old dungeon. So
yeah, I don't know.
I'm not sure what that was about. But hey, we have Halloween in January. That's kind of cool.
Exactly.
And other than that, just kind of the usual stuff at home and keeping our heads down and waiting for things to cool over. Having a pipe, waiting for it to come over.
Yeah,
cool down. But that's probably about it. We definitely have a lot to talk about with Guild Wars 2, so let's get on to that.
Let's do it.
All right. Well, first, it really sounds like I need to buy whatever the last expansion is for Final Fantasy and play through that.
Endwalker.
Yes. Endwalker.
Oh, yes.
Oh, so the big selling point on Endwalker, and because we had this discussion, it's like, what would you like the next expansion for WoW to be? do what they did for Endwalker and just wrap up all the loose ends. Like they literally, Endwalker takes all the main story quests, all the subplots, all the other subplots, and you do them in the main story quest, you do them in the gathering jobs, the crafting jobs, they're wrapping everything up and starting, not fresh, but starting anew. And I would love to see WoW do that. Sorry, Randolph.
Yes. And from what I've heard, that's actually what they're planning on doing. They're saying that that's why the end of Sylvanas has been so awkward, is because they're trying to close all that out because they want to start their own new thing. They are at the end of the shackles they've had from the old storytelling team that didn't do all that great. So the new team wants to start fresh, and that's what I hear they're trying to focus on. So we'll see.
We'll see.
All right, Guild Wars 2.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes. What's going on over there?
All right, so Guild Wars 2 is a game, right? That's a game we play. We actually have a guild in Guild Wars 2.
I'm shocking.
So I know, right? So one of the things is like Guild Wars 2. Like I have a lot. I believe a lot of people haven't played Guild Wars 2 since like it launched. Like I think a lot of things have changed in Guild Wars 2 since launch. And so just to give you who've never played Guild Wars 2 before, it's sort of like a hybrid between, I would say, like ESO is pretty popular, like its action style combat, and kind of like a tab target, like WoW. Like I know this won't help audio listeners, but I am sharing my screen, and you can see I've got like 5 abilities right there on my main bar, and then like 5 other abilities that are like that I can kind of select, and the abilities are kind of like weapon dependent or whatever. And some abilities require me to have a thing targeted, and some abilities require me not so much. I can just kind of, like my greatsword right here, I can just kind of spam it like this, and it's going to hit whatever's in front of me. And that's kind of like how combat works in Guild Wars 2. I could actually show combat, but I think I'd totally lose my concentration. Another cool thing with Guild Wars 2 is, okay, so there is a level treadmill. So you do have to like level 1 through 80. Then there's 2 ways to do it. You can either boost to 80, or you can, which is my preferred method because I don't like the leveling part, and then go back and do all the stuff after the fact, or you can do the slow way and like follow the personal story and go all the way up. The thing is, though, is that I can go into the zone right next to me. So I'm in Lion's Arch right now. I can go to the zone through the portal at the end here, and that level is I'm going to be scaled down to that level. So it kind of works the opposite of ESO, where ESO kind of scales everything to you. You have to be 80, and then so you have to be 80 already, and then it will scale you. So I can go anywhere in the game, and I will have a challenge.
Right.
And that's one of the things I really like about Guild Wars 2. And it keeps all the content relevant. So the dungeons that came out at release are super hard. The dungeons that, the raids that are out there are super hard. Those came out in the 2 previous, like the one expansion was 7 years ago. That was the last time I was here. And then the expansion we didn't come on for happened, 5 or 6 years ago. So, all that content is still relevant. So there's a wealth of really relevant content. I really draw like a lot of parallels to ESO because I really just got into playing ESO, and like there's like a lot of parallels between the two. I feel. One thing this game doesn't have is a gear treadmill. So there are a couple like rarities of gear, but like the difference is so minuscule that it really doesn't matter. So like. People raid in like orange level or exotic gear, which is stuff you can just craft or buy off the auction house easily. There's a tier above that, which is like pink gear, and that's literally the best stats you get in the game. And then there's legendary gear, which is just cosmetic. So like I have like a legendary sword on me. My dude's that legendary sword. It's just cosmetic. Like it has the same stats as a pink sword of the the same pink great sword stats.
Accelerating.
And then ArenaNet is going to keep the game. So one of the things, ArenaNet wants to keep the level always at 80. So the expansion's coming out, there's no leveling. There hasn't been leveling since the base game. You level to 80 once, and then everything, you can just do everything at your own, however you do. Now there is a secondary leveling system, and I'll talk about that later when we talk about the changes, because that's kind of how they introduced progression later on. But and then another neat thing the game has that Dejara wanted me to talk about. The game has an integrated wiki. Guild Wars 2 has the best wiki I've ever seen in any video game, almost ever. I would say maybe the Ultima Online wiki was pretty good. The EverQuest
really
maybe.
Impressive.
Yeah, really, like Guild Wars 2 wiki is so good. It's not on Fandom. It's not on some crazy site. It's hosted by ArenaNet. It's curated by the community, and it's phenomenal, and it's built into the game. So it'll open up a web browser. But
right.
Go ahead.
So great. So you don't have to have like the multiple screens going on and.
Well, it's gonna open up the web browser outside of the game. But say I don't know what this snowflake is for.
Mm-hmm.
I can click on the snowflake, type wiki snowflakes, and it's gonna on my other window where I have the podcast notes open. It's telling me about snowflakes now.
Neat.
And your inventory is huge. I have such a tiny inventory comparatively.
Yeah. So my pre-expansion goal has been to work on 32 slot bags, and I'm running 6 accounts to make the funds to get the 32 slot bags. Money is a scarcity in Guild Wars 2. Money is hard to get to. It's hard to make. Where are we at here? Okay, so I just want to kind of since we haven't played the game in a long time, and maybe you have, I just want to kind of touch on what the story is about with as little spoilers as possible. So the personal story, which is the 1 to 80 story, that's basically the hero's journey. You're basically a nobody. You start from nothing, and then you come up, and at the end you're like the hero of the world, right? The death dragon. Dragons are the big bad guys. There's like 6 dragons. They're all bad. Or maybe they're not bad. Who knows? They're just otherworldly big forces out there, forces of nature. That's what they call them, right? And so the first thing we do is we go on a journey to kill the death dragon because he's doing bad stuff everywhere. And then, in between the expansions, we have what's called the living story. And so the first living story, which we can't play, we can replay all the living stories except for the first one, because the first one they did live in the game world.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So all the changes happen live in the game world. So if you look, so Lion's Arch here looks nothing like Lion's Arch looked like.
No.
Yeah.
I don't recognize it.
Yeah.
Right.
This looks completely different.
So what happened is that so there's 4 or 5 races. There's only one race that matters. That's the Asura. That's what I am. But the salad race, one of the salad race people, the crazy salad race. I'm sorry. Crazy salad lady destroys the world and wakes up the plant dragon. That's what she does. Okay, so that's what happens in the first living story. So, and she destroys Lion's Arch completely. The place is devastated. I did log on to see that. It was crazy. Having to destroy Lion's Arch, pretty neat. It was the neatest thing I think I've seen in a game, because you don't really see that. You see, if you play Warcraft and you go into Orgrimmar, it pretty much looks like Orgrimmar has forever. I mean, there's been a couple changes to it
since Cataclysm, since
Cataclysm, but up until Cataclysm, nothing had changed.
Right.
And even after Cataclysm, it's kind of been the same,
Oh yeah.
So, and to that was cool just to see the world dynamically change. They didn't change that for season 2 though. In season 2 is basically about finding the plant dragons. Where's this dragon at? It's doing bad things. It's like the death dragon. It's doing bad things, right? So season 2 is all about finding. You meet your team of friends that are going to be with you forever, and they're all awesome. Also, I have to mention, the Guild Wars story is voice acted. The whole thing is voice acted. If you look at the voice acting credits, it's like the who's of voice actors are voice acting this game. It's really good. My favorite character is voice acted by John DiMaggio, Bender. So, and then actually in the new stuff, he's not voiced by them. So now he's no longer my favorite character. But while he was, he was the best character in the game. So, and then we get into Heart of Thorns, and that's where we left off last time in the podcast. Heart of Thorns, the plant dragon's doing bad. We're in the plant dragon's world, and we managed to we're going to find and kill the plant dragon, right? So that's our mission. We're going to try to find and kill the plant dragon. In season 3, we find out that killing dragons is bad. So we find out that in season 3, we find out that we have been the bad guy.
Wow.
Okay. And then
there's a lesson from Final Fantasy XIV as well.
Right.
And then one of the things that kind of brings us to that is the last living member of the bad guys from Guild Wars 1, the Mersat, if you're into that kind of stuff. They come back. That dude's back, and he's causing trouble, and he wants to help. He wants to help. And then in that process, the hero gets a pet dragon.
Aww.
Ooh.
Okay, and then Path of Fire starts. Path of Fire, there's 6 human gods. I think there's 6 human gods. One of the human gods, the god of war, goes crazy and goes on a rampage in the Crystal Desert, which is an old Guild Wars 2 area. And basically, we have to go figure out what to do with the human god.
Mm-hmm.
Does you just run around saying, "Boy"?
Boy.
Boy, shoot over there.
Yeah.
Boy.
That's a great game. In season 4, we get introduced to the actual greatest character in the game. He was actually in Path of Fire, and he was a bad guy in Guild Wars 1. But we learn about Joko. He is the most. He is a good part of the beginning part of season 4. He is fantastic. So we learn about Joko. And then in the middle of season 4, the Crystal Dragon goes on a rampage.
Like you do.
Yeah, that's what they do. It's what they do. So they basically, what the dragons do is they are dormant for a while and they feed on the magic, and then once they get enough magic, they're like, "Hey, I'm here. Let's go on a world tour. I need
cuddles and to chew on you.
Let's go on a world tour." So when Guild Wars 2 starts, this gigantic purple scar on the map that's in the first, it's in the vanilla game, this purple scar that runs all the way up, and this character doesn't have map completion, so you can't really see it all. But that purple scar that runs all the way down the right-hand side of the map, that was a Crystal Dragon. He woke up and he decided to go for a fly, and he's like, "I'm just going to wreck the world."
He deathwinged it. Yep.
Basically, he deathwinged it. It was basically Deathwing, but that was before Deathwing was a
right.
thing. When
No,
he did that, was
100%. Yeah. He was the OG. The Crystal Dragon was the OG.
Well, if you want to go even further back, Arthas did a line too.
He did, yeah.
He did that nice big gouge up until Silvermoon.
And you know what? This just seems to be what dragons do, right? Dragons are crazy.
Dragons behaving badly. It happens.
Yes.
See, you can see Jara in the chat. He is a fan of Joko.
Yeah.
Yes.
Praise Joko.
Praise Joko.
Yep.
So, and now Ice Fruit Saga is the last story, but that's the season 5. Season 5 is branded Ice Fruit Saga. So what happens to Pet Dragon? All grown up. We did such a good job through season 3 and season 4. The Pet Dragon's all grown up and now is an adult dragon. Good job. The big cat race, the Char, they have a civil war because why not? They're angry now. They don't have anything to point their guns at anymore because we've taken care of all the dragons through one way or another. We've taken care of the dragons. The big Char go on. They're like, we got to start killing each other. And then to add on to that, then the Ice and Fire Dragon want to kill each other. They don't want to kill us. They want to kill each other. We've kind of where we are right now. Everything's in chaos right now, right? At least up until the spoiler-free version is everything's in chaos.
Right.
And then coming in the future, we're going to go to Cantha, which is like it's sort of like a Far East Asian themed world. It was in Guild Wars 1, and that's going to be, we're going to find out more about the story. But it's called End of Dragons, so I assume, my only assumption is that it's going to be the end of the dragons?
Dragons, right. I would think so.
And Dragoners.
Okay, so before we get into End of Dragons, I kind of want to, what's different? If you haven't played in a really long time, if you haven't touched this game since 2012, and when the game had a PvP-focused end game and stuff like that, what is different? Why should I come back to Guild Wars 2, right? Why?
Actually, hang on. One question. But you buy the base game, and then are the expansions free? Is it a buy one time, or do you have to buy the expansions?
I was going to get into that.
Okay, cool.
But I'll answer your question. I will totally answer it. So the base game is free to play.
Okay.
There are restrictions on free to play accounts. Okay.
Sure.
Right.
As they will, because it's the combat botting and stuff like that, and I'll talk about that later. The expansions, all 3 expansions are bundled right now together.
Mm-hmm.
So one price gets you all 3 expansions. That does not get you the living story stuff. The living story stuff, all the pet chapters, I think I added up, is okay. First, you have to buy their silly store currency to buy it.
Okay.
The living story, so whatever, and there's whatever conversion it goes into that. But I think it's about $50 for all of them. I absolutely think it's worth it.
Oh yeah.
Because most of the story takes place in the in between stuff. The expansions give us new classes, sometimes new classes. That was one time. It gives us a new thing a new specialization for our old classes. It gives us new mechanics, and it gives us big new maps, huge maps. Now the living story ones also add maps. There's I don't know, 15 to 20 new maps that were added for between all the living worlds. So it's, I don't know, there's a lot of content in there. So, but we'll get to that. But what's different from launch? So if you haven't played since launch, so one of the big things, two of the big things is like the game quality of life for mobility. So you can glide now. So in Heart of Thorns, you introduced the gliding, so you can fall with style, which is kind of handy for getting around. I still glide, even though I have mounts.
Right.
And that's the other big thing. That's the other big thing, is mounts. So there's mounts. There's a raptor mount. My raptor mount looks like a stuffed animal. And there's a bunny mount that jumps really high.
Oh.
And there's a mount that flies over the water and goes under the water if you get the mastery for it. There's a mount that does pretty much what the raptor does, except it can kind of phase shift through sand portals and stuff like that. And then there is this a mount button? Nope, that's the jackal. And then there's the special mounts. So there's through Path of Fire, there's the flying mount that was that's not the flying mount that was introduced in Path of Fire.
It's a neat looking one.
Yeah, so there's the griffin. The griffin doesn't fly very well. Okay, so all mounts don't behave in Guild Wars 2 like they do in, say, WoW or like SWTOR or any other game that has mounts. The mounts have like weight and stuff like that, so they really behave differently. So this griffin, while it has wings, it can only, that's it. That's it flies, and it kind of glides. What it does is, if you are really high up though, and I'm not gonna be able to demonstrate it because I'm terrible at it. If you're really high up, you can fly super. This is the fastest mount in the game because it will get going, and you can soar through levels in seconds if you can get high enough up. Then there's the fast mount, the fast ground mount, which is a roller beetle. It's like Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift.
Nice.
So you
you can like how you ride it.
You kind of drift around the corner. And then finally, the last mount and the coolest one, this is my everyday mount, is the Sky Scale. This was introduced in Living World Season 4, and this flies more like a traditional mount, except it's got a ceiling, so it can only go up so high, but you have to recharge the blue meter.
Gotcha.
This blue meter down here, you got to recharge it, and then you can fly up a little bit higher. But and it kind of, as you're flying forward, it loses stamina, so you either have to land or kind of fall with style.
Falling with style. Yep.
Yeah. So like the mounts are a huge, well, like that's like when I talk about later like how to get started, like that's part of like what I recommend doing is like get these mounts. Roles. Guild Wars 2 was a role-less game when this game came out. There were no roles. Dungeons were a cluster because there were no tanks, there were no healers, just kind of like the biggest cluster ever. There are now roles. So between the elite specializations that were introduced in Heart of Thorns and Path of Fire, there are now healing roles and DPS roles and buffing roles. So classes that provide specific buffs that you would need to be successful in raids. And that's huge, actually.
Yeah.
Because it makes the game infinitely more playable. Now, sometimes not all bosses like will go to the role, like behave to like tanks or whatever. Not all bosses behave to that. Tank, like aggro is based off who has the most toughness, which is a stat that you find on armor. So that's kind of different. So that's not, you just have to stack toughness and then have good healers, and then that person's a tank. So basically anybody can tank. I could tank right now on my Necromancer if I wanted to. Yeah, Desire just said no roles are forced by the game. So the game doesn't have role, like the roles are what we set up. Like we're going to set up like these people are going to heal. This person's going to, wear the toughness gear and tank the boss. And then everybody else is going to hit it really hard.
Right. Focus your heals on this person.
Basically. And well, we don't have, so that's the thing with healing. Healing right now is all area of effect heals. In End of Dragons, one of the classes is getting a targeted heal, which is kind of neat and maybe super OP. We'll see how that plays out. So there's a lot of stuff to do in Endgame. So previously, Guild Wars 2 just had dungeons in Endgame, and if you played a little bit farther into it, the fractals were introduced, were like mini dungeons basically, but the format was different. You had to do a bunch of them to get any credit in a row. So you had to do like 5 or 6 in a row to get any credit for doing the fractals to get loot, right? And loot's not like it is in other games. Like usually it's currency. You get currency to do a thing. But there's the dungeons. The original dungeons are still in the game, and they're still hard, and it's still viable to go in there. Sometimes some builds require some things out of the dungeons, like there's like things you like, kind of like there's gems in Guild Wars 2, but they're called runes and sigils, and those are inside the dungeon. Some of them are inside the dungeon. Some of the best in slot ones come from the dungeon, so you have to do the dungeons. The fractals, they're slightly better dungeons. There's 25 fractals. There's in 4 tiers, so you can do 1 through 25 in easy mode, and then you repeat the same ones a little bit harder, then repeat the same ones a little bit harder, and then the last ones are harder. And then they have what's called challenge mode on top of that, which is what the super high elite end of the tip of the spear people do, like super high level skill level stuff there with the challenge mode. But there's 100, and they add a new one about every 2 years. They add a new one to the roster, and they'll drop one off. And now there's raids. There wasn't ratings previously, so raiding was introduced in Heart of Thorns, and more raids are added in Path of Fire. And the raids, I've done 2 raid bosses, and they're pretty fun. There's some issues with some like visual clutter, but Guild Wars 2 has issues with visual clutter. There's a lot of visual clutter, especially if you get the Fashion Wars people that have a lot of like my character only has a couple infusions on, and I've got visual clutter, right? So, but there's a lot of visual clutter in Guild Wars 2. It's not exactly, but once you learn what the things look like and how to like filter out in your brain what the things are, the fights are super fun. Like the 2 fights I did, they're amazing. Hushwolf in our guild, he's and we'll talk about there's a community raid training group that Guild Wars, like the community runs, and he's involved with that, and he's killed all the raid bosses through there, and he's having an absolute blast raiding in Guild Wars 2. So in addition to raiding, we now have strike missions, which was added in Fruit Saga. So this is their new thing. It's an instance with a single boss. It's a 10-man instance, so it's just like raids. And these strike missions, it's go in. It's kind of like a quick thing to do. It's like a quick raid.
Like no trash, just boss go.
No trash, just boss go. One of them does have a jumping puzzle in front of it, which is annoying, but there's always somebody who's really good at the jumping puzzle. They can get to the thing so everybody can skip the jumping puzzle. But strike missions, they're simple. They're easy. You just go in, kill the boss. They're a little bit easier than raid encounters. They're geared to be a little more newbie friendly, and they're going to be what's going to happen. I think that's going to be the way forward in End of Dragons, because they're adding new strikes in End of Dragons. So I think that's kind of where they're going. So ArenaNet, what they do with this end game stuff is they come up with it, they leave it in the game, and then they move on to something new. So and then legendary armor, one of the sources of legendary armor is through raids right now. And legendary armor, and we'll talk about that later, but there's some advantages to it, but it's mainly cosmetic. And then dragon response missions, that was also something that was added in Fruit Saga. They're little short, like, I don't even know how to describe it, to be honest. It's like you go into a story instance basically, and people join the story instance. You kind of work toward a goal at the end, and you get some currency at the end to buy Fruit Saga stuff. It's a neat thing. It's different. And then you got the traditional stuff, which Guild Wars 2 is known for, the world versus world PvP, which is getting restructured. And so, like right now, we are AIE is on Dragon Brand, but in the future, that's not going to matter. Like right now, that's the other thing. It's one mega server now. So you play with everybody in the U.S. region. You play with on one server. So if you're going to join the guild, make sure you're in the U.S. region. It doesn't matter what server you pick, because you'll play with us, at least for PvE. And then when the new world versus world stuff comes in, we'll be able to select the same team, so we can all play on the same team, because it's
nice,
more team-based.
Great,
so getting rid of this server stuff, which should help, because there's a lot of server hopping and stuff that goes on to keep like the high tier servers in the high tier. But World versus, it's actually pretty fun, because it's kind of it's like Alterac Valley basically, where there's not a lot of PvP in it, but there's a lot of like, I don't know, siege stuff.
Okay.
Or like, I guess the Imperial City. That would be the other thing, kind of like the Imperial City in ESO. And And then finally, there's a structured PvP. It's 5 versus 5 instance. It's basically your battlegrounds in WoW. There's most of them are capture the point. And I think when you do the actual rank season thing, it's capture the point. And structured PvP is the other avenue for legendary armor, which is kind of annoying for me because I get stressed out in structured PvP.
Sure.
But and then, like I said, what I mentioned earlier, so when the game first launched, the highest level of gear was like orange level exotic gear. So they added ascended gear in like toward the end of, or somewhere in the middle of between. I think it was in Living World Season 1 is when they added ascended gear. And ascended gear is it's like 5% better. But what it does is it allows you to slot in infusions, which is what makes your character sparkle, or
Nice.
or it either lets your character sparkle, or it you can slot in agony infusion, so you can do the higher level fractals, and that's kind of like the gate for higher level fractals is this agony. So if you have 150 agony resist, you can do all the fractals, but it's extremely expensive, uses all the slots. You need to do a lot of things to do it to get it into 150. But and as you do your fractals, they give you these infusions, and you can craft them up to make new ones. It's all. Guild Wars has a lot of complicated layers into it. Ascended gear can be and ascended gear is only needed for fractals, so you don't need it for raiding, you don't need it for going out in the world, you don't need it for PvP, you don't need it for anything, because the difference in stats doesn't make a difference.
That's good.
And that's why there's no gear trouble. Like if you can get crafted level 80 exotic gear or whatever, you can get it dropped with the right stats on it, then you're good. Then there's and you can change it. So with the ascended gear, you can change the stats. So there's like different stat combinations on the gear. So like there's the button I was looking for. So in my so in here, like this gear right here is what we call Berserker's gear, the stuff I have on right now, and the tooltip's not going to show because I'm holding my push to talk now. But this gear has Berserker stats, so it's geared toward like hitting stuff really hard.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But if I switch over to this gear, now this gear is more geared toward damage over time. So I can switch my stats. I mean, that's also new too, being able to have different gear sets. But
right,
that's more.
I don't remember that being a thing.
Yeah, that's more for if you're doing a lot of endgame stuff. If you're doing like, if you need like, here, I need a gear set to hit things hard. I need a gear set to heal. I need a gear set to tank.
Mm-hmm.
I need a gear set to just survive, because sometimes the game is hard.
Right.
And then there's legendary gear. So there's always been legendary weapons in the game. There was a bunch of legendary weapons in the game. It was total, like, I probably spent a gazillion gold trying to make there's a short bow that shoots unicorns out.
Oh, nice.
So I probably spent just gobs and gobs of gold feeding stuff into what we call the Mystic Toilet, which is the
oh my,
because you just flush your money down the drain.
Got it. Okay.
But the Mystic Forge, so I spent a ton of money on the Mystic, money, but like in-game resources and stuff, trying to make these bows to turn them into the precursor weapon that would be eventually turned into the legendary short bow. And I failed it. The system was terrible. So, and they recognized the system was terrible. So they made a new way of getting legendary weapons, and that was through collections. So, so now all the legendary weapons have collections, except for the newest ones, because then they recognize later on that, like the sword that I have on my back, the great sword on my back, that's all crazy looking. Doesn't have a collection with it, because they realize that the collections are awful. So, but they're better than the Mystic Forge version. So all the old ones and all these ones here, they all have like a kind of a progression. And this is kind of where like Guild Wars 2 their hidden quest system is actually buried in the achievement menu. So it's kind of a weird way to do it. But like most games would just give you a NPC with an exclamation mark over their head, and there's your quest, and you go to do the quest and you get the reward. But this one, everything's basically buried in the achievements panel. Legendary gear lets you can stat swap your gear. So like I can change the stats on my swords just without doing anything. I can just double click on it, change the stats, and it'll go to a different stat.
Nice.
Without I don't have to pay any money for it. I can also transmog. I can transmog it to anything I want for free. I kind of like that. The game gives you enough stuff. If you log in every day for a year, you will have enough junk, maybe minus the gold, to make a legendary weapon once per year. Just from login rewards. You can log in. If you log in every day for a year, you'll get... And unlike ESO's login rewards, if you miss a day, it's going to be there. So I could not log in for a week, and I'll still have to keep retaining the same progress I have toward the last bit, which is kind of nice.
Excellent. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely nicer. ESO just wants to try to entice you to come in like at least once a month or so, and that's why they reset it. But yeah, I definitely like that the other way better.
I prefer it the other way because I barely, like this month, I barely got the 100,000 gold for ESO, and I was like, that was the thing. I'm like, I just started playing. 100,000 gold is a lot of money. So
right, yeah. When you said gold's a commodity.
Well, that's ESO. In this game.
Oh yeah, sorry.
In this game, 100,000 gold, I'd be able to buy everything.
That doesn't sound like it's a lot. Yeah, or
no.
Sound
In this game,
it doesn't sound like it would happen because this game.
I have 524 gold. That's a lot of gold.
That makes sense.
That is a lot of gold. And then I couldn't buy it. Legendary weapon costs about, I think, 2,000 gold.
Wow.
Like the Generation 1 ones, you can still buy in the auction house. They're about 2,000 gold. So.
Wow.
And that's not the most expensive thing you buy. There's infusions you can buy that are super rare, ultra super rare drops. One that like pops confetti off you and looks totally crazy. They're like 20 or 30,000 gold. That's for the ultra rich.
That's a lot of farming.
Yeah.
And Desara said the Ascended gear can be stat changed for not an awful cost. It's not an awful cost. It's just annoying.
Yeah.
And then new from Heart of Thorns, legendary gear is not just weapons. So like I mentioned before, you can get armor through raids and through structured PvP. You can get there's 2 accessories you can get from doing collections from season 3 and season 4. There's an amulet that they pretty much gave everybody away for free because all you had to do was log in and do a couple things for the Seasons of Dragons meta event that I've been feeding to Tetsami for all of these super long. All that. So it's basically a free thing, and that's still going on. That didn't go away. So like if you come on today, you can work on the Living World story stuff and the Seasons of Dragons meta event and get the legendary amulet and the precursor weapon for the End of Dragons precursor and a 32 slot leg, which is pretty sweet because they're expensive.
Yeah.
And what else do I have here? Rings can be through raiding or world versus world. And the back is from Fractal's World versus World or Structured PvP. Dejara actually has the back. He actually did the grind for it.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing because it is actually crazy. The grind for that is crazy. There's a underwater helmet. There is no legendary item for that. So unfortunate. So you'd have if you wanted to be like have the best, I guess, purple gear on everything, you'd still have that one bent for the rebreather, but that's fine. And then the best part about legendary weapons, and this is probably the thing that makes it the best, they introduced a system called the Legendary Armory. And so like my Ascended gear I can give and I can trade to all my characters. I can put it in a bank and my characters can pull it out.
Mm-hmm.
My legendary gear, I just have to click on it in my inventory and I can make copies for all my characters.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
So I only need one greatsword and I can give it to all my characters that can use a greatsword can have that greatsword, or the trinkets from. I only need one. So, and that's probably the best thing with it. Honestly, before they introduced the armory, there was literally no reason to get like armor.
Yeah.
Because the grind to do the armor, like okay, so I'm gonna get the armor. I'm gonna get one copy of the armor, but now I can get 3 sets of armor, and I'll cover all 3 weights of. All 3 weights of armor, and I'll have armor for all my characters forever if I wanted to be, to do that.
Right. Nice.
That's a lot of rating or a lot of structure.
It is, yeah.
But it's in the end, it might be worth it.
Yeah.
All right. So what else is new? There's a new class. The Revenant was introduced in Heart of Thorns. It's kind of like it channels all the heroes and villains from Guild Wars 2 to get power. Wears heavy armor. Ritlock, which is one of the main characters, is a Revenant, and he's generally pretty cool. So might be a good class to play.
Maybe.
And then each class gets elite specializations, and this is kind of where we get the roles kind of come from, or it kind of differentiates the classes a little bit. So they're one from each expansion. We'll get a new one in the new expansion, so then each one will have 3 elite specializations. But right now, the elite specializations are unlocked through hero points. So if you do Central Tyria, which is the original game, those hero points that's one hero point. You need a 250 to unlock one, or you can do the expansion ones, which are a little bit harder, and you can get 10 for each hero point. So now, not on this character, but if you do all the hero points in the game, you'll have about 396 left over, which will be enough to unlock the thing. Now, the thing is, since it is harder to do the expansion hero points, the community runs hero point trains. So you can go and look in your group, and there's a couple guys that run, these hero point trains. You can just get in this group, and you'll follow them around, and they'll help you unlock the waypoints. Basically, and usually they just need you to have gliding and the raptor. If you have gliding in the raptor, you can do the hero point train, and you go do the hero point train, and you'll miss 1 out of Heart of Thorns because you need a mastery point for poison resistance, which you don't have, and then you just go. It's pretty good. It's one of the reasons why this community is so awesome. They're really willing to. It's really a helpful community. If somebody dies, I'm going to stop. If I see somebody's dead on the ground, I'll stop and I'll resurrect them.
Right.
If I die, somebody will resurrect me. If I'm AFK and dead, somebody will continue to resurrect me over and over and over again until I've come back. Like it'll just be like somebody will res me, walk away, I'll die again, and then you just come back, and then your gear's all red. But repairing doesn't cost anything; it's just an inconvenience.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
And I mentioned like several classes get the ability to heal. So right now the current meta for healers is Rangers, Guardians, and Necromancers. They all have really powerful heals. It might change. It's going to change in End of Dragons because there's new healer being introduced. And then now I'm going to talk about the secondary progression system. So down here in the bottom corner of my thing, it says 351. So that's my mastery level. So in Heart of Thorns, they introduced a mastery system. That's where gliding was unlocked, and a bunch of other stuff. In Path of Fire, which has probably the most useful masteries in the game, they're all masteries related to the mounts, and you kind of use the mounts all over. But mastery points are either unlocked by doing things inside achievements or out in the world. They'll be floating out in the world. So you'll see like a ball out in the world, and you can go click on it, you'll commune with it, and you'll get the mastery point. And then you'll fill up this XP bar. So right now, well, this is not here, but if I was in the area where I had mastery unlocked, where I didn't have these last, just 366 right now, so I'm missing a few from the Fruit Saga, which are really hard to get. They would be, I just have to fill up the XP bar based off how much XP is needed. So like right here, so for like this right here, I've already filled up the XP bar, so I just need the points. The points are actually really hard to get in this last bit of the game. But once I fill up this XP bar, I can click on it and I'll unlock the mastery, and it'll give me whatever that does. And sometimes it's super helpful, and sometimes it's just a means to an end to get to something. So
I'm filling up this bar to get to another bar.
Basically, but all the Path of Fire ones are super helpful because they make your mounts awesome, and then the Season 4 ones are all really good because they add more stuff to make your mounts awesome. Mm-hmm. And having the mounts be awesome is pretty good. And then like some of it's required for the story. I just saw that in my notes. So sometimes you have to unlock a bit. You have to unlock a mastery to do a thing in the story, like the poison mastery thing. I think you have to do that to progress in the Heart of Thorns story. Otherwise, you'll die when you go into that area.
As you do
right away.
Right.
Yeah. It's fun. Like I have like 11 characters, and I go on a lot of hero point trains. It's fun watching people like, okay, don't go in this area. Don't go in here. Don't do it. Don't go in here. You're gonna die. And the amount of people that go in there and die anyway,
right,
is hilarious. It's like, what did you expect?
Yeah.
Did you think you were gonna last long enough to get to the thing that's like, I don't know, 500 meters away from where you entered it? No, instant death. It's funny. I love it. So, and the base game is free to play. We talked about this a little bit earlier. So the restrictions are so you don't get daily login rewards on a free to play character, which is kind of a bummer. But again,
it's okay.
One of the rewards is these things called Mystic Coins, which are used to make legendary weapons. and they're worth about 2.5 gold a piece right now. So that's an extremely viable way to make money, is to farm, sell these mystic coins. Unless you don't want, they're used for making legendary weapons. So if you need them for that, then you'd save them. But either way, there's chat and mail restrictions. I don't know specifically what they are. You get fewer characters in bag slots, so that sucks. Especially this game, there's a lot of inventory, a lot of stuff to trashes up your inventory in this game. So, and then limited trading post access, so you can't, again, it's all bot mitigation stuff.
Right.
And then this is all Dejara stuff because I don't have any free to play accounts. I have 6 accounts and I just got them all on sale. So,
Right.
My notes for this section actually said, I don't have one. You probably have to look on the wiki. And Dejara wrote all this, so I'm just going to try to power through it. So everything is stage unlocked. So level 10 to get into a non-starter map, 15 to get into Alliance Arts, level 60 for World versus World. Unranked structured PvP unlocks at level 2, and then you scale to the player level. Like once you're in structured, you can be level 2 in structured PvP, and you'll compete on a level 80 level. There's no gear in it. It's basically a level playing field. It's the most fair PvP system I've ever seen. That's full of jerks. So that's why, I can't believe Dejara got the backpack out of the legendary backpack, because I did like 20 matches last season, and I was like, done. I was like, I'm done. I can't handle these people. And then there's no mounts unless it's a mount rental from a festival race. So you can, if you don't have mounts and there's like an event going on, you can rent a mount to do like the races inside a thing. So right now there's the Lunar New Year Festival, which is not one that I participate in because it's not my cup of tea. There's races in it, and so you can just rent a mount and you can go do those races inside of the area where the festival is, and you don't have to have the mount. But okay, now this is why I'm here. Expansion.
Right.
Okay, so the expansion's coming, End of Dragons. So it's gonna drop. We'll find out actually on the 1st. We'll find out on the 1st when it's gonna launch. The guess is gonna be the last Friday of the month. So I think that's the 25th. I think it's gonna come out the same day like Elden Ring comes out.
Gotcha.
So, it's going to be, I think it's going to be amazing. So everything they've showed so far is amazing. All the beta weekends for the classes and the new mount they showed, everything's been pretty awesome. I've tried not to get like super hyped for games in Cyberpunk, but like my hype level is super high for this. So
Right.
So the new areas being added is Cantha. 4 or 5 new maps are getting added. Cantha is, like I said, it's kind of like an East Asian fusion, and it was in Guild Wars 1. So far, they haven't done much that's been outside of what's been in Guild Wars 1, so it'll be interesting to see what they do after this. Each class is going to get a new elite specialization. I've played them all, and I like them all except for the warrior one, but I don't like warriors anyway, so it's really hard to like something I don't like. But all the other ones, I kind of like, wow, these are kind of cool. Like, this is neat. This is a really neat mechanic. I'm having a conundrum in my head, like, which character am I going to play right away? Do I play my Mesmer because the Virtuoso is like way cool, or do I just keep playing this Necromancer because it's easier, but then the elite specialization doesn't grab onto me as much? But yeah, I could love it. Like, it could be a thing I love. So it's like I'm just having a problem myself. Like, what do I play? They're going to add a 2-person turtle mount. Those will be the Guild Wars 2 first. I mean, there's only 6 or 7 mounts, but it's going to be the first mount that has 2 people on it. It's kind of crazy. It's not slow. But it gains speed as it goes. It turns like a truck, like just really like a semi truck.
Right.
It has jets on it, so it can like jump up in the air super high. And it's got 2 gigantic guns on it.
Awesome.
So the the second
reminds
rider
me of a Pokemon. Blastoid or
Blastoise, right? Exactly,
yes.
Right. And so the second rider is the gunner.
Oh, nice!
I love it.
That's awesome.
So I didn't get a chance to test that part because nobody was around when I was like wanted to be on a beta character. So Guild Wars 2 does betas weird. They do them in the world you're playing. So
there's no test realm. It's just you're in
nope,
the.
it's in the world. So you'll
that
see,
is your test realm. That's awesome.
Yeah. So you'll see the people out there. You'll see people out there with the little beta tag next to their name, and you'll see them in the world. And the problem is that, and it's kind of like the discouraging thing that really tests them out for a really long period of time doing things. If you get an awesome drop, you do not get to keep it.
Right, because it was beta.
An awesome drop. So I'm in multiple guilds because you can be, this is like ESO, you can be in 5 guilds, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So in my other guild, the one of my buddies, we're just testing out all the characters. We're in fractals. So we're testing him out. We're having a good time. He had a precursor drop. Precursor drops. So precursor for a legendary weapon, super rare, super expensive. Super rare. I played this game a lot. I've never seen a precursor drop.
Right.
This is the only time I think I've seen a precursor drop in a group that I've been in.
Aww.
He got a precursor drop, and he asked Arena, and Arena Light's like, no. No, you don't get to keep that. So,
otherwise, because everyone would be farming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they create, and because the new classes were a little overpowered too. Like when they came out, they were like, hey, look at these things. They're great. They're overtuned.
Yep.
So, but that's fine. But so that's kind of like the discouraging from testing, like really getting in there and testing them hard. Because like, what if something nice drops?
Right.
Yeah.
Like what if I'm playing this and the only time that like I see a precursor drop or something great, the one thing, right? And then here it is, and I don't get to keep it.
Yeah. That's heartbreaking.
So I just played it for not long enough to get a feel for like the classes and like, I even gave Warrior a fair shot. I played Warrior for maybe like an hour or two before I, vomited in my mouth and said no more Warrior.
Hey now.
Well then.
So now this is a cool thing we're getting. We're getting fishing. So fishing is going to be a thing, and fishing is going to have collections. So we're going to have
Sparrow.
There you go. So we're going to have fishing and collections, and your fishing is going to be all over. So wherever there's water, you can fish, not just a new area. And we're getting a skiff mount. It's going to be a small boat that you can have your friends ride on, and so you can have fishing parties.
Nice.
I guess there's 4 new zones. So I did the research beforehand, and I didn't remember. We're getting 4 new zones. There's going to be new mastery trees. There's going to be a mastery tree for fishing, a mastery tree for the turtle mount, a mastery tree for, I forget the other ones are. I didn't write them down, but there's going to be new mastery trees for things, just as there are with expansions. New legendary weapons. All the legendary weapons are going to be dragon themed, so they're going to be dragon themed weapons. You're going to be able to you're going to be able to switch between which dragon they represent.
Mm-hmm.
But they started out as your pet dragon themed, and then they you can change them to any of the fire dragon, the death dragon, whatever. You can have whatever styling that you like. They look kind of cool. The thing that I'm okay. I'm gonna get one. I'm gonna make one. But like in the past, they've all the legendary weapons have looked differently, and now they kind of all look the same. But maybe it also means we're going to get more legendary items like in the future. Like maybe they're going to like, now that we have this system that we can like kind of, hey, we got the system and you can do it and kind of change stuff around. Maybe there's a lot of speculation still. So we'll see how that goes.
Right.
We're going to get new strike missions. Like I mentioned before, the strike missions are the short 10-minute content. And we're going to get a new guild hall. And
oh, wow.
We're going to move there. That's my goal right there is we're going to move the guild hall from where it is in the Heart of Thorns area in the Dusty Plateaus. I forget his zone name is. Dejara's going to put it in the chat in a second.
Right.
And I'm going to move to Sakantha because I think it looks, from when it looks amazing, and I got a soft spot in my heart for that, East Asian theme. I love it. So that's cool. Basically the expansion. I like most of it's speculation as of right now. There's been a lot of live streams. There's going to be a lot of live streams from ArenaNet leading up to the launch. So we're going to learn a lot more about the game, as we go.
Awesome.
So, and then this last bit's kind of like my guide. My guide to, like, if you just started. So if you have not played Guild Wars 2 before and you want to play Guild Wars 2, if you want to play with us in World versus World, which we'd be happy to do. I'm not on Dragon Brand, though, so this is not... Dejar is on Dragon Brand. So it doesn't matter if you get on Dragon Brand. As the only thing that matters to play with us in AIE is that you select USA or Americas or whatever it is. That's where we are. Okay. There's Europe, Americas, and I think Oceanic. So if you Get that choice wrong, you're not going to play with us.
Right.
And then, so none of that really matters. Okay, so if you're fresh start, I would say pick up the expansion pack because it's going to give you access to the mounts and the gliding and all that. That's like easy. I think it's like $40 for all three. And then I also recommend grabbing the Living World stuff because the Living World stuff, like most of the story, happens in there. Like you don't have to, like it's optional, but like.
But it's content and it's story.
It's
so
content
why wouldn't
and
you?
it's good content. It's really good content. Guild Wars 2 has, I feel like, the second best story in any game. Just a second best story compared to
the rest of the
Final
majors.
Fantasy.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy has the best story. I feel like Final Fantasy does story the best, and then Guild Wars 2 does it second best. So, and then so my first step, be level 80. So how do you get to level 80? So when you buy the expansions, you get a boost. That's how I would do it, because the leveling grind. It's a grind, and there's a lot of grind in this game if I could avoid it. But if you want to do it the slow way, we'll be there to support you.
Yeah.
If you do boost, the boosted gear is actually really good. It used to be garbage, but now it's really good. It's got basically all the stats on it, which makes it really good for everything. It's not like the best, but it's really good for everything. It basically lets you do anything with it. Start Heart of Thorns right away. So as soon as you can, start Heart of Thorns. Unlock gliding. That's the only thing you need to do in Heart of Thorns is unlock gliding. Go in there, get the first thing of gliding. It will make your life so much easier, okay? And then start Path of Fire. The first thing you're going to do when you start Path of Fire, you're going to get the Raptor. Congratulations, you started it. You do the first mission. You're going to walk out of there with a Raptor. It's great. Get the mastery for canyon jumping. Go to the zone to the north, which is I forget the zone. I have the game open and I have no clue.
But it's north. We got it.
Yeah, you go to the zone north of the Crystal Desert or Crystal Oasis, and that zone has the bunny in it. Unlock the bunny. Go to the zone in the south. Get the skimmer. Congratulations, you have 3 mounts and you can glide. Okay. Now, the next part, catch a hero point train. You don't really need one for Path of Fire. You can actually, if you're good enough with the combat, none of the combat in the Path of Fire one is particularly difficult. But catch a Heart of Thorns one because it is hard. Like you need a group to do all the Heart of Thorns. But catch a hero point train, you will be able to unlock one of your elite specializations. The goal is to be able to unlock both of them, so you need to do both Path of Fire's hero points and Heart of Thorns hero points. And then you can unlock your spec. And then do the last episode now this is contrary to story stuff. Do the last episode of season 4. Because that's going to unlock the ability to get the sky scale. And then once you can unlock the sky scale, it's time gated, so it's time gated, so it makes sense to unlock it, try to get it right away.
Time gated as in you can only progress so far, or you only have a certain amount of time to complete it.
No, it's time as you can, like, so you do a step and you have to wait like a day.
You
do a step, you have to wait like a week.
Got it.
So while the NPC is figuring stuff out.
Gotcha.
So start working on your sky scale grind. It's not critical to have your sky scale, but gosh, it makes life so much easier. Then you can do whatever you want. After this, you can do whatever you want. You can go, if you want to unlock the 3rd elite specialization right away, you're going to have to go do Central Tyria Master points. You will have, if you don't do Central Tyria and you unlock both your elite specializations, you will be... It looks like you'll have somewhere between just around 215, maybe. I don't think I've done many Central Tyria zones on this character. So you're going to be about in this age. You might be like 180 to 215 left over after you buy both yours. So you're going to need to do some Central Tyria ones, which is fine. It's fine. I would also unlock the waypoints. I would go to zone and at a bare minimum unlock the waypoints. If you do complete 100% of Central Tyria, you get a gold star next to your name and everybody can see that you're a superstar.
Nice.
And again, yeah, if you did it the slow way, you're probably going to have enough hero points to unlock all the elite specializations after you do both hero point trains. Because you have done progress through all of Central Tyria while you do the hero's journey, the personal story, right? If you boosted, you're definitely going to have to go back, though. If it's not a fresh start, if you already have a level 80, get your sky scale. So go back to level season 4. Either do all of season 4 or just play the last episode and start the sky scale ring. Get your sky scale because it's worth it. If you don't have any of the other mounts, go back and get the other mounts too, because you at a minimum you want a raptor, a bunny, a skimmer, the ability to glide, and maybe a sky scale, because that's going to make getting around a lot easier. Get hero point trains done on your main, like I said. If you want to get into raiding, the community runs a raid trading Discord where they train people. I'm in it, and it's a little intimidating because it's very intense.
Right, I'm sure.
How they organize the groups and stuff. It's very organized and very intense, and it's a little intimidating. But you can either ask myself because I have the invite link for it, or Hushwolf for the invite for it, and we'll get you in there, and you can get started on raiding. Raid training is really the only way to go in this game for doing the raids. Right now, we don't have enough people to do a static group for raiding, and the encounters can be incredibly complex. I wish other games kind of did this, but they really don't. We kind of just form raid teams and throw ourselves at the wall. Guild Wars 2 is highly efficient about it. They basically train people how to do it, and then they're good to go.
Cool.
And if you want to work on a legendary item, now's a great time to do it. You can, and I have done in the past. A month is enough time to get a legendary weapon built,
right?
Provided you either dump, if either you have a lot of money or you dump money into it. The game does do money to gold trans. You can do real world money into whatever. So there's no. Hopefully, I think it cuts down on the RMP. I don't know. And then dailies. If you do your dailies, do your dailies every day. There's up here in the corner you can see I have daily quests. If you do 3 of them, you get 2 gold and some spirit shards, which is pretty good. 2 gold is a lot of money.
Right. Okay.
2 gold will pay for teleports, to teleport around the map for a couple weeks. So
cool.
And then finally, what's AIE doing? So we want to bolster our active numbers. We want people to play the game. Like I said, a month before the expansion, this is a good time to get in and get stuff ready to go. So you're ready to go for the expansion. I want to move our guild hall to Cantha, which is going to require a small group to go in there and do it. Mandatory Fun Night is on Monday at whatever time you guys are going to say below, because I believe it's in the notes.
9:30 p.m. Eastern.
There you go. And Dejara, that will be the one time you see Dejara in Discord. He'll be in the Discord channel, usually talking to Smoke. So you'll see him in there. That's when our Mandatory Fun Night is.
Okay.
Occasionally, Meilung will run a Dungeon Night, and that will be in Discord. He'll say when that is. But one of the reasons I'd like people to come, because what I want to start doing is getting a dedicated group for Fractals, Raids, and Strikes. Right. I would like to see AIE doing these things, because I think if we have enough interest, we can get in there, we can do it. And the content's not super, it's hard, but it's not super hard. So, but I would like to see it and then get people progress and enjoying the game, because this is a really good game. This is my favorite game. This game, I really got into WildStar because I liked Guild Wars 2, but I didn't like how Guild Wars 2 didn't have tanks and healers and stuff like that. And that's what drew me into WildStar. And of course, here we
are.
So, yeah. And I think that's all I got for
awesome.
Guild Wars 2.
And obviously, if you get a date and time for your Fractals, your regular group going, also let us know, and we can make sure that gets included.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Of course. And if you guys missed it, Dejar put a whole bunch of stuff in the chat.
He did, yeah. Yep.
So I have an ultra, a 49-inch ultra wide, and I have the show notes on this side, on my monitor on this side, and Discord on this side. So I can't see both of them at the same time.
Yeah.
That's definitely a lot of info.
Thank you so much.
It's almost as if we've been catching up on,
7 years.
7 years
of information. Yeah. Yep. Lots of fun stuff. Yeah. I think I played with it like 4 months ago, kind of poked at it a little bit and felt very lost because it was there's just so much new stuff in there now. So yeah, I kind of feel like I'm probably have to consider myself a fresh start, even though I have a level 80.
Yeah.
And sometimes, I do it too. I forgot to mention it. The story is character bound. All the other progression you do is account bound.
Okay.
Interesting.
So my 351 mastery points carries over. All the masteries carry over. My mounts carry over. My currencies carry over.
Your unlocks?
My unlock, not necessarily. So the maps, the map is also character bound.
Okay.
So I don't have 100% map completion on this character, so you can't see the whole map when I open up the map, right?
Gotcha.
But So all that is so like if I'm like so during Season of Dragons, I switched mains. I switched from my Mesmer to the Necromancer because I just wanted an easier time. Necromancers are slightly easier to play than Mesmers are. So I switched classes in the middle of that grind, and I didn't have to go back and do anything. Like I was able to pick up the story where I left off because you can just go into the menu and pick what chapter you want to start on, and then I just did it.
Nice.
It was a pretty seamless transition just to switch characters. The only thing that for me that sucks is I've got I want my bags over if I switch characters, I want my bags over there because the bags are super expensive and I like having all the bag space, and I got to move all the armor over, and then
Yep.
Oh yeah, Dejar is also saying the so if you buy the $100 version of the game, it comes with 4,000 gems, and that's basically half price.
Okay.
So you get all 3 expansions and 4,000 gems for half price, and some cosmetic junk like a raptor skin and a cape and some other junk.
Cool.
And a skiff skin, but the 4,000 gems is half price, so you could actually use that to buy the Living World season stuff. And all that stuff, all the stuff on a gem store goes on sale too, like character slots and all that junk. They're a business, so they do like businesses too.
Of course.
Yep.
All right. Anything else? Any other little nuggets of wisdom to share with everyone?
I'm not sure. I just looked over at all the stuff Dejar was saying.
And we can always put Dejar's extra stuff also into the show notes. So if people get into the show notes, they can see that there. So yeah, we'll go ahead and add that at the end of the show notes.
Highly recommended.
Absolutely.
Awesome. On to the news.
Awesome.
All right. Yep. That was lots and lots of information, and we still have all the news to go through.
Yeah,
so
we can go this quickly though. That was great.
Yes,
Thank you so much.
Yes. Lots of useful, valuable information.
Very much so.
But now it's time for this week's news.
AIE News.
Good to go.
Alrighty, and we'll skip over to Streaming and Guild Podcast News, where in SWTOR Escape Podcast 412, Getting Gear in 7.0, Bryant Wood, BioWare Systems Engineer, posted some extensive notes on gearing in 7.0, including some new news. They break it down and talk through their plans for gearing up. And then over with those working class nerds, episode 138, Guardian Downcast. Marcus and Nick are joined by Hazel and Gatter of the Guardian Down podcast. Hazel and Gatter are the hosts of the Guardian Down podcast, which focuses on Destiny 2. The three of them are chat about podcasting, Star Wars, and of course Destiny 2's upcoming expansion, The Witch Queen. You can find out more about Hazel and Gatter at guardiandowncast.libsyn.com. And some Spotify stuff. And that's it for my section.
And Boards and Swords number 188. Essen is bought. Tony Hawk the board game featuring Benita Carr. Now that the holidays are over and things are back to normal, not entirely, as we have a special guest, Benita Carr, who is on Twitter at Benita_K, on to tell us what she has been up to recently. And Fleet Action Report for STO, Episode 81, It's Very Cold in Space, Part 1. I don't know why you'd need Part 2 when It's Very Cold in Space is accurate.
It is. But maybe there's some,
I know. On this episode of the Fleet Action Report, a Star Trek Online informational live stream, Nikitas and Greebog are called to defend the Defari from a group of aggressive aliens. Who are those that would attack the delicate balance of the Defari, and can we stop them?
Excellent. All right. And in WoW news, Wit or was it Where's the Tank?
Yep.
Yeah, Where's the Tank?
Where's the Tank? Yes. All Monk Fun Run was postponed as many of the participants are still gearing up. They look forward to seeing what a full raid of Touch of Death will do to bosses. There are plans for an all Paladin run and a repeat of the all Druid run coming in weeks. Anyone interested? Contact Gusty Tail. Gusty also has a fun new guild challenge. This Wednesday on 2/2/2022. I didn't even get that pun. That's adorable. And clearly, the best way to observe this is to wear a tutu. Or your best approximation. In-game or at home, embrace the silliness and troll like nobody's watching. Then post it in pics or it didn't happen. And as she called me out, she'll be disappointed if I don't already have something suitable at the ready. I have a black tutu, a dark red tutu, a bright blue one, and a yellow one. I just need to decide which one to wear and what one will fit Tet. Anyway, and in WoW Classic, Mount Hyjal and Black Temple have opened their doors to unwary adventurers, piling up corpses sky high to their doorsteps. Mwah! Again, I'm just now that's what I'm doing. The adventure and the attraction of new loot.
New to them, at least.
Yep.
Yes.
Over at Final Fantasy XIV, guess what? Map nights are continuing. They are entering the exciting Excitatron 6000 every Saturday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Check the pins in the Final Fantasy XIV channel for more info. We kind of talked about this last time, but yeah, super fun map area. Lots of crazy stuff going on there. Very exciting. You can even get an exciting title. And our lovely community member Zoot is also running Mount Farms on Fridays at 8 p.m. Eastern. The level requirement depends on what is being run, but it generally adapts to whoever wants to come. So don't be intimidated if you've never done anything like the Extreme Trials before. They're not as hard as the name Extreme might imply.
And in SOTOR news, we are getting ready to feel the hype for 7.0. It is just 2 weeks. 2 weeks away. There are all kinds of ideas floating about how to prepare and what things to do first. If you'd like to join in on the discussion, be sure to join us in Discord in the SOTOR channel. Last week, the guild made a run at winning a planet in Total Galactic War. We fought the good fight, had a lot of fun, and put up more points than we ever have before. Early on in the week, it became clear that really only one other guild was even a challenge for us. We went neck and neck with them for most of the week, but on the weekend, they really poured on the steam and took a commanding lead. Afterwards, their guild leader congratulated us on a battle well fought and shared with us that they had more fun than they had in SOTOR in a long time. It was a good week.
Awesome. And in ESO, they spent the last couple of weeks killing world bosses in Clockwork City and Somerset for the Adriatic War celebration so they could earn event tickets for the new pet and other rewards. Trials are on the agenda on nights that they have 12 people online for MFN. They'll be doing the usual zone clears, public dungeon clears, and group delve runs. At the global reveal live stream, they announced the legacy of the Breton Year-Long saga and that the new chapter, aka expansion, is called High Isle. The first DLC for 2022 is called the Ascending the Tide and will come out on March 14th. Oh, just in time for Kenny's birthday.
Yep.
For PCs, that's perfect. And March 29th for consoles and kicks off the year-long adventure with the 2 new dungeons. The High Isle chapter will be released on June 6th for PC and the 21st for consoles. There are 2 additional planned DLCs, 1 dungeon pack and 1 story zone that will come out later in the year. The new chapter will explore the islands of High Isle and Amenos that involve the main storyline that ties in the legacy of Breton's year-long cycle. It brings new in-game collectible cards called Tales of Tribute, a new 12-player trial, 2 new companions, as well as new world events, delves, public dungeons, world bosses, and standalone quests. There are also several updates and quality of life improvements. Pre-purchases are on sale now and will grant immediate access to new mounts and pets. The pet is only available if you pre-purchase before April 4th. In addition, if you purchase, you will get the new rewards at launch, such as new costumes, pet treasure maps, experience scrolls, and a crate.
Over in Star Trek Online, the fleet is about to take a massive step forward and go where the fleet has never gone before, with fleet holdings at least. By the time of the podcast, we'll have started working on unlocking the military tier 5 upgrade. This is a big project, and every little bit will help us get this done. The reason why this is so big is it is the final upgrade for the military tier of the Starbase. It also means we will have access to all the fleet ships, minus one that comes from the colony. And most importantly, once complete, it will allow us to start working on the Starbase tier 5 upgrade. Greybog wants to send a huge thank you to all the fleet for their hard work in getting us here and their continued hard work on these projects. Greybog has been asked, what will this mean once we are done with all these? How can I still get fleet credits? There'll still be plenty of ways we can get fleet credits from provisioning projects to temporary boosts projects. And also, as a reminder, Fleet Fun Nights are every Thursday at 11 p.m., probably Eastern. We do things from helping people level to running TFOs and event tasks.
Yep.
Seemed pretty quick for our news, for usual, but
10 minutes
a lot
and
of
done.
stuff. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So that will be our show for tonight. And while the chat room begins, or already has begun, suggesting show titles, we want to thank Jedi for joining us. Even though it's been 7 years, it's good to have you back.
And it won't be
Come more
7 years
often.
before we have you again.
Yes.
I can't believe it's been that long.
It's
It's crazy.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you have a question or comment about our show, you can email us at podcast@aie-guild.org. You can also follow us on Twitter. The show is at AIE Podcast. Mew is at the Mew Cow, McCullough is at Cyberwave, and I am at Ivory Tiger. We record live with video every other Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. You can join the chat room and play along with us on our website, aie-guild.org/podcast-live-stream. And our Discord server for chat is aie-guild.info/discord. Past episodes, you can see them on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/c/the AIE Podcast. Our theme was composed by the amazing Andrew Allen. Follow him at Keys with Soul or visit his website, andrewallenmusic.com.
All right, and now it's time to play all the great AIE member segments we received this week. Well, no segments, guys, but if you want your hand at creating one, we would love to have you.
And next time we'll be talking to Gusty Tail in WoW. So until then, AIE, this is Mew Cow.
This is Tetsami.
This is McCullough.
And this has been the AIE Podcast.
Awesome show.
Yay!
And I get a bell.
Yep.
I am overdue.
Yeah.
Right.
Chat room, we are going to please post chat titles, but we are going to kill the stream so people can get kids home, people can rescue other spouses from kids, and we can eat. So
And
thank you all.
Ted, I'm going to go ahead and add in Dejara's additional information to the bottom of this as well.
Yep.
Ah.
What? Oh. Oh no.